Will disc golf ever become mainstream? Let's find out. Make sure to subscribe because along with giveaways, I will also be doing a 1,000 subscriber video where I spend 24 hours on one course and you do not want to miss it. And the subscriber giveaway this week goes to Paul Martinez. Make sure to DM me on Instagram for some free discs. All right, so first off, I just had this pretty cool day. So I posted a Gannon Burr video just showing highlights. And what do you know? He freaking sees the video and is recommended and he comments that he liked the video. That is pretty absurd because I think of him as like one of the most elite players on tour right now. And for him to even acknowledge my channel was just amazing. So I was really happy to see that. But it also showed that this world of disc golf is pretty small. There isn't that many people in it. And even though I see it as like a huge industry, if you like take a step back and look at other industries, it is very minuscule. So just going over the brief history I've had with being close to fame and celebrities. First off, I saw Tony Hawk at a tour in 2014. And I think Tony Hawk is just a great test that he is like the baseline for what a popular mainstream athlete would be. Obviously he gets that meme that like nobody can recognize Tony Hawk. But if you subtract that, he is well known everywhere. He has a huge following and he is recognized every single day. And I think that's something that you can rarely get in disc golf, I would say, as of right now. And then to follow up with that, the same exact day as Gannon, I actually saw Travis Kelce and Patrick Mahomes of the Chiefs at a bar next to me. And if you look at that and you just compare Patrick Mahomes, Tony Hawk, and Gannon Burr, these are all very different tiers of celebrity. I personally think that Gannon Burr was the most famous because he's like the coolest thing in my world, in my sphere. But if you look at follower counts, you look at everyone else, it is just not even close. The amount of followers that Tony Hawk has, the amount of followers Patrick Mahomes has are astronomically bigger. And so we have to look at that and assess, is disc golf actually that popular or that cool? I thought a good baseline metric would be Jomez's most viewed video and subscriber count. I think this is like where everything's coming from as far as the industry is going. Obviously, I think Live's going to take a seat higher than Jomez in the future, but for right now, Jomez is the hub for disc golf. So I think that makes sense to be our baseline. So we see the most viewed video on Jomez has 5.2 million. And I think that's actually kind of small. I was a little bit disappointed to see that because I think if there was any channel that should have more than 1 million subscribers in disc golf, it should be Jomez. So yeah, they sit at 415,000 subscribers. Now, one thing that doesn't take into account is the Patreon numbers. I believe they're making a huge amount based upon current season Patreon numbers, and then also off season where they're making a bunch of great content that you get exclusively, well, timed exclusive, that you can only get on Jomez, and you can only get that kind of pro level material with the amount of clout and amount of fame that Jomez has so far. So there's a lot of amazing things there that make them an economical model that everyone should follow, but it is not that famous, I would say. So 5.4 million and then a huge drop off after at 2.1. And looking at a personal channel, because I also think that's a really good metric to look at. Obviously Simon's the number one personal channel, and he averages about 80 to 120K views per video. Obviously, he has some bigger videos. He has one at 1 million, one at 750,000, and then one at 500,000. And I think this is like really good for where disc golf has been for growth, but I don't think it's where it needs to be. I think we need to have a huge following on every single big YouTuber or every single big disc golfer that shows, hey, this pro has a great ability to market themselves and a huge following that is willing to watch all their content regardless of how good it is or how not. And I think that this is something that other, especially probably golf channels, do well. I think it's probably a good sister sport to look at. I think golf has everything figured out for brand, social media, and figuring out how to market themselves and to have lots of eyes on each other, on each individual player. So with that said, I don't think disc golf will become mainstream famous anytime soon. But I do think with the epic shot that Conrad had last year, there is a huge potential for disc golf to become mainstream. And I think that can only happen if there's a large adoption of the sport, primarily probably with youth, maybe a high school scene, high school sport, maybe with a high school club or a more mainstream college adoption of disc golf. I think that is where the growth begins, and that's where the pros are going to be beginning to develop their skills. It's going to be early stages. And I think that the days where somebody picks up disc golf at 25, 30, gets on the pro tour are not over, but few and far between. And I know I briefly touched on the money earlier, but let's just think about Paul McBeth's contract. So $10 million over 10 years. That obviously is a huge chunk of change. But if you look at Tiger Woods, obviously has the highest paid salary, but his career earnings is $120 million. Now, I think that's a number that doesn't even encapsulate the entire disc golf industry. I don't even think we're close to 100 million. So I think there's a huge amount of growth that we need to see for the sport to be developed and to be more mainstream. But I do think we have the potential and we're on the right track. So let me know what you guys think. If you disagree, agree, have any other comments, post them in the comment section. As always, subscribe. Wild Runs signing out. Peace.